She walked into his birthday party wearing a $22 thrift store dress. He had not seen her in 4 years. 4 years since he took everything she built and put his name on it. 4 years since he erased her from every patent, every press release, every piece of history that mattered. He thought she was gone. He thought she was broken. He thought she was nobody. But there was something he did not know, something hidden in the divorce papers he never bothered to read. A single paragraph, Section 7, subsection C, a time bomb buried in legal language, ticking quietly for 1,460 days. And tonight, standing right next to her, was the billionaire who just lit the fuse. $65 million. That was the number that changed everything. Because the moment that wire cleared, she went from being his forgotten ex-wife to the second largest shareholder in his company. He brought his new wife to the party. Then he froze when a billionaire kissed his black ex. And what happened next destroyed everything he spent 4 years building on her stolen work. Stay with me, because this story is about to get ugly. And the ending is going to hit you somewhere you did not expect. Lesson and value. This is not just a story. This is a reminder. Your work has fingerprints. Even when they erase your name, even when they rewrite the history, even when the world forgets you were ever in the room, the truth lives inside what you built. And truth does not expire. It waits, patiently, until the right moment to come home. If you have ever been overlooked, underestimated, or erased, this story is for you, because the most dangerous person in any room is the one they already counted out. The moment Sebastian Cole saw her across the rooftop, his champagne stopped halfway to his lips. Kesha Morgan stood near the edge of the terrace, backlit by city lights, wearing a black dress that did not apologize for anything. She was not supposed to be here, not at his birthday party, not in his world anymore. He had made sure of that. 4 years of careful erasure, 4 years of rewriting history, 4 years of making certain that her name disappeared from every document, every article, every memory that mattered. And yet here she was, standing on his rooftop like she owned the sky. "Baby, who is that?" Lydia whispered, her manicured nails pressing into Sebastian's sleeve. She could feel him tense. She could always feel him tense when something threatened the careful life he had built. "Nobody," he said too quickly. "Just someone from before," but Keisha was not looking at him. Her eyes tracked someone moving through the crowd, someone parting the sea of guests like a ship cutting through still water. And when Sebastian followed her gaze, his stomach dropped so hard he nearly lost his grip on the champagne glass. Benjamin Crow, the billionaire investor who had been circling Cole Logistics for months like a shark that never showed its teeth. The man whose signature on a single document could make or destroy empires before breakfast. The man Sebastian had been courting for over a year, sending proposals, flying to New York for meetings, rehearsing pitches in front of mirrors. Sebastian watched, frozen, as Benjamin crossed the entire party, past the mayor, past the tech journalists, past every important person in the room. He walked past all of them without a single glance and stopped directly in front of Keisha Morgan, like she was the only person on that rooftop who mattered. "Ms. Morgan," Benjamin said, and his voice carried, despite the music and chatter, "I have been looking forward to meeting you." Keisha tilted her head slightly. "Do I know you? No. But I know your work. Every line of it." Sebastian set his champagne down on the nearest table. His hand was shaking, and he did not want anyone to see it. But to understand why that handshake on a rooftop changed everything, to understand why Sebastian Cole felt the ground shift beneath his feet on his own birthday, you need to go back, 4 years back, to a warehouse that smelled like burnt coffee and desperation, to a woman who had nothing except her mind, and to the night when everything she built was stolen by the man who promised to love her. This is not a love story. This is a story about what happens when the truth finally comes home. And the truth does not knock politely. 4 years earlier, the warehouse sat on the edge of downtown Detroit, wedged between a tire shop and a barbecue restaurant that only opened on weekends. 17 startups crammed into converted storage units, bare concrete floors, fluorescent lights that buzzed like trapped insects. The Wi-Fi cut out every time someone in Unit 9 ran their space heater. Everyone in that building was convinced they would be the next big thing. Keisha Morgan worked in Unit 14. She was 29 years old, self-taught, and running on 4 hours of sleep and a faith in mathematics that bordered on religious. She had grown up in the foster system, bouncing between homes in Detroit and Flint, never staying anywhere long enough to call it hers. She learned to code on a library computer at age 14 because a social worker once told her that education was the one thing nobody could take away. The social worker was wrong about that, as it turned out. But Keisha did not know it yet. She knew how to build things. That was her gift. Not just software, not just algorithms, but systems. She could look at chaos, at the tangled mess of supply chains and shipping routes and inventory nightmares that drove logistics companies insane, and she could see patterns that nobody else saw. She could make sense of the senseless, and that was exactly what she was doing the night Sebastian Cole walked into her life. He appeared at her storage unit door at 11:30 on a Tuesday night, holding 2 cups of gas station coffee and wearing a smile that could charm funding out of a stone. "You are Kesha, right? Unit 14? I am Sebastian. Unit 7. I know who you are," Keisha said without looking up from her screen. "You are the one who keeps pitching that logistics thing in the common area. Guilty." He set a coffee on her desk. "I also know you are the one everyone says is a genius, and I have a proposition." She finally looked at him. He was handsome, tall, confident in the way that men who come from money are confident. Like the world was a room they had already been given the keys to. But there was something else in his eyes that night, something hungry, something that looked, in the dim light of a Detroit warehouse, almost like genuine admiration. She should have looked closer, but she was tired, and the coffee was hot, and nobody had called her a genius before. "I am listening," she said. "That was the first mistake." Within 3 months, they were inseparable. Within 6, they were in love. Within a year, they were married in a courthouse ceremony with 2 witnesses and a judge who pronounced Sebastian's last name wrong. But the real marriage was not the one on paper. The real marriage was the work. Sebastian was a brilliant salesman. He could walk into a room of skeptical investors and walk out with checks. He could make a pitch deck sing. He understood branding, positioning, the art of making people believe in a future they could not yet see. What he could not do was build anything. Keisha could build anything. "It is not working," Sebastian said one night, staring at his laptop screen at 2 in the morning. They were still in the warehouse, still living on ramen and optimism. "We are hemorrhaging money on inventory predictions that are wrong 60% of the time. Our clients are leaving because we cannot get them what they need fast enough." Keisha looked up from her own screen, her natural hair pulled back in a silk scarf, eyes tired but sharp. "Let me see the flow patterns." 3 weeks later, she had built something nobody else had thought possible. She called it the adaptive flow engine. It was a prediction algorithm that learned from chaos. Most logistics systems tried to impose order on disorder, forcing supply chains into rigid models that broke the moment anything unexpected happened. Keisha's system did the opposite. It embraced the chaos. It watched patterns form and dissolve and reform. It learned from every disruption, every delay, every human error, and it adapted in real time. It turned logistics nightmares into seamless choreography. "This is incredible," Sebastian breathed, watching the first test run. "Keisha, you are a genius." She smiled. "We are a team. That is what makes it work." He kissed her. She tasted coffee and hope and the future they were building together. She should have noticed that he did not say "we" back. The first investor pitch should have been their moment, the biggest moment of their lives together. Sebastian stood backstage, his presentation loaded on Keisha's laptop, the one with all her notes, her diagrams, the architecture only she truly understood. "You ready?" she asked, adjusting his tie the way she always did before important meetings. Her fingers smoothed the fabric, steady and precise, the same hands that had written 3,000 lines of code the week before. "We are ready," he said. But when the moment came, when the lights hit and the investors leaned forward in their leather chairs, Sebastian walked out alone. "Good morning, I am Sebastian Cole, and I am about to show you the future of logistics." In the back row, Keisha went very still. He presented her system as his breakthrough, her algorithms as his innovation, her sleepless nights as his singular vision. He used the word "I" 14 times in 20 minutes. He used the word "we" once, and only when referring to the company's future hiring plans. Afterward, she waited for him in the parking garage. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead, casting everything in a sickly yellow glow. Her arms were crossed, not in anger, in something worse, in the slow recognition of a pattern she should have seen from the beginning. "What happened in there?" she asked quietly. "We killed it," Sebastian said, loosening his tie. Still high on adrenaline, still buzzing with the rush of a room full of powerful people, hanging on his every word. "They are interested. Real money, Keisha. This could be everything. Why did you not mention me?" "I did. I said we. I said our team. You said my breakthrough. You said I developed." "Sebastian, I built that entire system." He sighed. The sigh of a man who believed he was being patient with someone who did not understand how the world worked. "And you are a critical part of the team," he said. "But investors do not bet on partnerships, Keisha. They bet on a singular vision. One face, one story. That is how this works. So what am I? Your assistant now? You are my wife and my co-founder. But when I am up there, I need them to see confidence. Certainty. Not a committee." She stood in that parking garage for a long time after he drove away. She stood there until the lights clicked off on their automatic timer and she was alone in the dark. And here is something every person listening needs to hear, because this moment right here is where everything changes. When someone shows you who they are the first time, with a pronoun, with a credit, with a small erasure, believe them, because small erasures become big ones. They always do. A man who says "I" instead of "we" in a pitch meeting will say "I invented" instead of "she invented" in a patent filing. And a man who steals credit in a conference room will steal credit in a courtroom. The pattern never reverses. It only accelerates. Keisha did not believe the pattern. Not yet. She told herself it was a one-time thing, a mistake made in the heat of the moment. He would correct it. He loved her. He would make it right. He did not make it right. It happened again, and again, and again. Press interviews where Sebastian was the genius founder and Keisha was his talented wife who helps with technical matters. Board meetings where her innovations became his strategic decisions. Patent applications filed under his name alone. Conference panels where he sat in the spotlight and she sat in the audience, watching the world celebrate a man for work that came from her hands. Each time she confronted him, he had an answer. It is just optics, baby. You know the truth. Is that not enough? It was not enough. It was never enough. But she loved him. And love has a way of turning sharp women into patient ones. And patience has a way of looking exactly like permission. The night she found the patent documents, Keisha sat at their kitchen table until dawn. Not crying, past crying. She sat with the folder open in front of her, reading her own work attributed to another person's name, and she felt something inside her go very quiet, like a machine powering down, like a system shutting off one process at a time until only the essential functions remained. When Sebastian came down for coffee, in the morning, yawning, scratching his head, reaching for the French press, like it was any other day, she slid the folder across the table. Explain this. He barely glanced at it. It is standard procedure. The company holds the IP. I am listed as primary inventor because I am CEO. You are listed as primary inventor because you typed your name where mine should be. The company will compensate you fairly. This is business, Keisha. This is how we protect what we have built. What you have built, she said quietly. That is what you mean, is it not? Somewhere along the way, it stopped being ours and became yours. Do not be dramatic. I want a divorce. The word hit the kitchen like a physical thing, like something you could hear shatter on the tile floor. Sebastian set down the coffee press and looked at her, really looked at her, for what might have been the first time in months. You do not mean that. I mean it. I want out. The divorce lawyer's office smelled like old carpet and copy machine toner. The woman across the desk, a tired attorney named Patricia, who had seen every version of this story, was gentle but clear. You will not get much, Patricia said. The patents are filed under the company. Your contributions are documented internally, but legally classified as work product. We can fight it, but it will cost more than you will win. How is that possible? Keisha asked. I built the entire system. Every line of code, every algorithm. I believe you, but the law does not run on belief. It runs on documentation. And the documentation says Sebastian Cole is the inventor of record. Your name does not appear on a single patent, a single press release, a single public-facing document. Because he erased me. I know, and I am sorry. But proving that in court would take years and hundreds of thousands of dollars you do not have, Matt. Keisha sat in that office and felt the second peak of despair settle over her like a weight she could not lift. The first had been the parking garage. This was worse, because the parking garage was about betrayal, and betrayal at least has the dignity of surprise. This was about mathematics. Cold, simple arithmetic. She could not afford to fight for what was hers. She signed most of the paperwork without reading it. But before she did, she asked Patricia one question. If I add a clause, something conditional, something that only activates if certain things happen in the future, would that be legally binding? Patricia raised an eyebrow. Depends on the clause. What do you have in mind? Keisha had been thinking about this for 3 weeks, since the moment she decided to leave. She had not been sitting at that kitchen table in despair. She had been calculating. She wrote one paragraph, buried it in Section 7, subsection C, written in the kind of dense legal language that made eyes glaze over. The kind of language that looked like boilerplate, the kind of language that nobody reads because it seems like it could not possibly matter. In recognition of ongoing utilization of proprietary systems and intellectual property developed by K. Morgan, during the period of marriage, contingent equity of 18% shall be activated upon any major capital event, including but not limited to acquisition, corporate restructuring, or Series C investment exceeding $50 million. Patricia read it twice. This is clever. But the company is worth almost nothing right now. They will sign it because they think it is meaningless. That is what I am counting on, Keisha said. Sebastian's lawyer barely scanned the divorce agreement. Why would he? Cole Logistics was bleeding cash. Surviving on hope and fumes. The company was worth less than the paper the clause was printed on. 18% of nothing is nothing. They signed. Keisha walked out of that office with no money, no job, no patents, and no public record that she had ever built anything worth building. She walked out with her dignity, a suitcase of clothes, and a single paragraph buried in a legal document that nobody thought would ever matter. She walked out with a time bomb, and she set it ticking. The studio apartment above the laundromat on Jefferson Avenue cost $480 a month. The ceiling leaked when it rained. The walls were thin enough to hear the washing machines running at 6 in the morning, the rhythmic thump and slosh of other people's laundry becoming the soundtrack of her new life. Keisha worked 3 jobs. Waitressing at a diner called Rosie's from 6 to 2, freelance coding projects at night, small contracts she found online, building websites and databases for people who would never know that the woman charging them $200 for a WordPress site had once built a system worth millions. On weekends, she tutored kids at the community center, teaching basic programming to teenagers who reminded her of herself. It was at Rosie's Diner that she met Marla Jenkins. Marla was 58 years old, 5'2", and had a voice that could cut through a construction site. She had owned Rosie's for 23 years. She had been divorced twice, buried one husband, and raised 4 children by herself. She had opinions about everything and the volume to share them. "You look terrible," Marla said to Keisha on her first day. "Thank you," Keisha replied. "That is very encouraging. I am not here to encourage you. I am here to make sure you do not burn my eggs. You know how to work a flat top? I built a logistics system that processes 1 million data points per second. But can you make an omelet?" Despite everything, Keisha laughed. It was the first time she had laughed in weeks. Marla became something Keisha had never really had. Not a mother exactly, because Marla was too blunt and too loud and too fond of unsolicited advice to fit neatly into that category. She was more like a force of nature with a spatula. She fed Keisha when Keisha forgot to eat. She listened when Keisha needed to talk. And she told the truth when Keisha needed to hear it, whether Keisha wanted to hear it or not. "Baby, you are sitting here crying over a man who stole your work?" Marla said one evening, watching Keisha wipe down tables after closing. "Girl, dry your face, eat this pie, and figure out your next move. Tears do not pay rent." "It is not that simple, Marla. Nothing worth doing is simple, but you are too smart to be this sad for this long. Now, eat the pie. It is sweet potato. I made it myself, and I will be offended if you do not finish it." Marla also took it upon herself to fix Keisha's love life, which Keisha had not asked for and did not want. "That one has got a job," Marla whispered one morning, nodding toward a customer at the counter. "And that one has got teeth. And that one has got both. Keisha, you are being too picky." "Marla, he literally just got out of his car with an ankle monitor on. Nobody is perfect, baby." The humor helped. It was a small light in a very dark room, and Keisha held on to it. But the darkness kept coming. 8 months after the divorce, Keisha applied for a senior developer position at a technology company downtown. She made it through 3 rounds of interviews. She was overqualified, and she knew it. The interviewers knew it too. They were impressed, eager, practically ready to extend an offer. Then the hiring manager Googled her name. "Wait, you are Sebastian Cole's ex-wife? The one from Cole Logistics? I did not just work at Cole Logistics. I helped build it. I designed the core system. The hiring manager's face shifted, not hostile, worse, skeptical. That is not what any of the public documentation says. There is no record of your involvement in any technical capacity. I am sorry, but there are concerns about credibility. She did not get the job. She did not get the next one either, or the one after that. Sebastian's narrative had erased her so completely that claiming her own work made her look delusional. She was not the brilliant engineer who had been wronged. She was the bitter ex-wife making desperate claims. And in a world that ran on Google searches and LinkedIn profiles, perception was reality. Then the worst thing happened. Keisha came back to her car one Tuesday evening after her shift at the diner and found the window smashed. Her laptop was gone, the one she had kept from the early days, the one with her original code, her development notes, her documentation, the digital fingerprints that proved she had built the adaptive flow engine from nothing. Her proof, gone. She filed a police report. The officer was polite but uninterested. "Ma'am, it is a laptop theft. We will do our best, but these things rarely get recovered." She stood outside the police station in the rain for 45 minutes. She did not move. She did not call anyone. She just stood there, letting the water soak through her clothes, feeling the last piece of evidence wash away with it. And for the first time in 2 years, Keisha Morgan cried, "If you are building something with anyone, anything at all, listen to me right now. Document everything separately. Cloud backups, emails to yourself with timestamps. Keep your own receipts in a place only you control. Because the day someone decides your work belongs to them, the only thing standing between you and total erasure is proof. And proof does not matter if you cannot find it when you need it." Keisha went home that night, sat on the floor of her apartment, and stared at the water stain on her ceiling for 3 hours. She thought about giving up, really giving up. Not the dramatic kind of giving up that people talk about in movies, the quiet kind. The kind where you just stop trying and let the current take you wherever it wants. Then her phone buzzed. A text from Marla. "You coming in tomorrow? I need you on the early shift. Also, I made banana pudding. It has your name on it. Literally. I wrote your name on the container so nobody else eats it." Keisha smiled, wiped her face, typed back, "I will be there." She did not give up. She got up. The third year was different. The grief did not disappear, but it changed shape. It went from a weight on her chest to a low hum in the back of her mind, always present, but no longer paralyzing. Keisha stopped, looking backward, and started looking around. She began teaching coding classes at the Martin Luther King Community Center on Saturday mornings. Free classes, open to anyone. She did not advertise them. She just showed up, set up a projector, and waited to see who came. The first week, 3 people showed up. By the third month, she had 22 regular students, mostly women. Single mothers who needed new skills. Career changers who had been told they were too old to learn technology. Teenage girls from neighborhoods where the library was the only building with reliable internet. And Destiny Williams. Destiny was 19 years old, 5 months pregnant, and carrying a determination that Keisha recognized instantly because she had seen it in her own mirror for 30 years. Destiny worked at a gas station during the day, took a bus 45 minutes each way to the community center on Saturdays, and practiced coding exercises on her phone during breaks because she did not own a laptop. "Miss Keisha," Destiny asked one afternoon after class, "is it true you built that thing? That logistics thing everyone talks about?" "Yes." "Then how come your name is not on it?" Keisha looked at this girl, this 19-year-old pregnant girl, sitting in a folding chair in a community center, asking the question, that the entire technology industry had refused to ask. Because I trusted someone to be fair, Keisha said. And fairness is not something you wait for, Destiny. It is something you build for yourself. Destiny nodded slowly, like she was filing the information away in a place she would not forget. Meanwhile, Keisha watched Sebastian's rise from a distance, not obsessively, not bitterly, just carefully, the way you watch weather patterns when you know a storm is coming and you have already built your shelter. Coal logistics was growing. Fast. Sebastian's face appeared on magazine covers. Incorporated, 30 under 30, Forbes. Next billion-dollar companies. He gave keynote speeches at conferences where he talked about innovation and vision and the lonely courage of building something from nothing. Keisha read every article, watched every interview, and every time Sebastian said, "I invented," or "my breakthrough," or "my system," she felt the time bomb tick one beat closer to detonation. Lydia appeared in the photos around year 3, blonde, polished, photogenic, the kind of woman who looked perfect standing next to a successful man at a charity gala. Kesha did not hate Lydia. She did not know Lydia. She simply noted her existence the way you note a new piece of furniture in someone else's house. Decorative, functional, replaceable. What Keisha did, quietly and methodically, was rebuild. She took on more complex freelance projects. She developed a consulting framework. She built a portfolio of work under her own name, work that was hers alone, documented and time-stamped and backed up in 3 separate locations. She was not the broken woman from the police station parking lot anymore. She was something harder, something sharper, something that had been compressed under enormous pressure for a very long time and was beginning to remember what it was made of. One evening at the diner, Marla watched Keisha scrolling through her phone during a break. That particular expression on her face, the one that was not quite anger and not quite satisfaction, but something in between. "You have got that look again," Marla said. "What look?" "The one that says, 'Somebody is about to find out.'" Keisha put her phone away and smiled. "I do not know what you are talking about." "Mm-hmm," Marla said, unconvinced. "You want more coffee, or are you too busy plotting?" "Both," Keisha said. "Always both." The envelope arrived on a Tuesday afternoon, slipped under the door of Keisha's apartment. Expensive paper, cream-colored, the kind of stationery that cost more per sheet than Keisha made in an hour at the diner. Inside was a single card, 2 sentences, handwritten in precise, confident script. "Your engine is worth more than they know. The truth deserves a toast. No signature, no return address, just an invitation to a rooftop party." Printed on heavy cardstock, with her name embossed in gold letters. The event was Sebastian Cole's 35th birthday celebration. A private affair, 200 guests, the kind of party where the guest list was worth more than the venue. Keisha sat on her bed and held the invitation for a long time. Her heart was beating hard, not with excitement, but with something more complicated. Fear, anticipation, the particular anxiety of a woman who had planted a seed 4 years ago and was now being told it might be time to harvest. She almost did not go. She picked up her phone 3 times to call Marla and talk herself out of it. She put the invitation in a drawer. She took it out. She put it back. She took it out again. At 7:30 that evening, she opened her closet. In the back, still wrapped in dry cleaning plastic, was a black dress she had bought at a thrift store 3 years ago. $22. She had tried it on in a fitting room with broken lighting and thought to herself, "One day I will have somewhere to wear this." She looked at the dress. She looked at the invitation. She looked at herself in the mirror, at the woman she had become through 4 years of loss and labor and late-night coding sessions and early morning diner shifts, and Saturday classes, and Wednesday crying, and Thursday determination. She put on the dress. It fit perfectly. Of course it did. She called Marla. "I am going to a party tonight." "What kind of party?" "The kind where my ex-husband does not know I am coming." Marla was quiet for exactly 2 seconds, which was a personal record. "Baby, do you need backup? Because I will put on my good wig and be there in 20 minutes. Number 1. I need to do this alone. All right, but you call me if anything goes sideways. And eat something first. Do not make big decisions hungry." Keisha laughed, grabbed her keys, and walked out the door. The elevator to the rooftop took 47 seconds. She counted every one. The rooftop was exactly what she had expected. String lights draped between potted trees. A jazz quartet playing standards that nobody listened to. Waiters circulating with champagne flutes and canapes that cost more per bite than Keisha's hourly wage. 200 people dressed in the kind of casual elegance that required enormous effort to achieve. Keisha stepped off the elevator and almost turned around. Her hands were trembling. Her thrift store dress suddenly felt like a costume, and every person in the room looked like they belonged to a world that had specifically and deliberately excluded her. She was not the confident warrior walking in with a plan. She was a woman who worked at a diner, standing in a room full of millionaires, wearing a $22 dress and praying nobody asked her what she did for a living. She got herself a glass of sparkling water from the bar because champagne would make her hands shake worse, and she moved along the edge of the crowd, staying close to the railing, keeping the city lights at her back. She recognized faces. The venture capitalists who had funded Sebastian's Series A, the journalist from TechCrunch who had written the profile calling Sebastian a once-in-a-generation mind, the board members who sat in quarterly meetings where her algorithms were presented as his strategic vision. They were all here, all celebrating the man who had built his empire on her invisible labor. Nobody recognized her. One investor, a tall man with silver hair and a watch that probably cost more than her car, leaned toward her near the bar. "Are you with the catering company?" Keisha looked at him. She recognized him. He had been in the room for the first pitch, the one where Sebastian had said, "I" 14 times. This man had shaken Sebastian's hand afterward and said, "Brilliant presentation, truly visionary." Something like that, Keisha said. She turned away and took a long drink of her sparkling water. That was when she saw Sebastian. He was standing near the center of the party with Lydia on his arm, holding court the way he always did, gesturing broadly, laughing loudly, commanding attention by the sheer force of his belief that attention was owed to him. He had not changed. The same smile, the same confidence, the same absolute certainty that the story of his success was true because he had told it so many times that even he believed it now. Then he turned slightly. His eyes swept the crowd, and they landed on Keisha. The champagne stopped halfway to his lips. For 3 seconds, they stared at each other across the rooftop. 4 years of silence compressed into a single look. And in Sebastian's eyes, Keisha saw something she had never seen before. Not guilt exactly, not remorse. Fear. He was afraid of her. Good. Then she felt a presence beside her. Not aggressive, not intrusive. Just there, like someone who had been waiting for the right moment and recognized it when it arrived. Miss Morgan. The voice was deep, calm, and carried the particular authority of a man who did not need to raise his voice to be heard. Keisha turned and found herself looking at Benjamin Crow. He was not what she expected. She had seen photos of him, of course, everyone in tech had. Benjamin Crow, the billionaire investor from Baltimore, who had built his fortune by finding value where others saw nothing, self-made, ruthless in business. Famously private, in person, he was quieter than his reputation suggested, tall, composed, dressed in a dark suit that fit like it had been designed specifically for this body on this night. His eyes were steady and sharp, the eyes of a man who had spent his entire life assessing value, real value, not the performance of it. "I have been looking forward to meeting you," he said. "Do I know you?" "No, but I know your work, every line of it." He did not offer his hand. Instead, he studied her with the kind of attention that made Keisha feel simultaneously seen and exposed. "6 months ago, I started due diligence on coal logistics," Benjamin said. "Standard process. I pull apart every system, every patent, every line of code. I want to understand what I'm buying before I buy it." "And what did you find?" "That the math was too elegant, too intuitive." The adaptive flow engine does not match Sebastian Cole's technical profile. He is a salesman, a very good one, but the code, the architecture, the logic behind the prediction models, that is not the work of a salesman. That is the work of someone who thinks in patterns, someone who sees music in mathematics. Kesha felt her pulse quicken. She kept her face neutral. "So I dug deeper," Benjamin continued. "I found the original development files. Your name was on everything before someone did a very amateur job of erasing it. Whoever scrubbed the metadata missed the error logs. Your initials are embedded in every debug note." She went very still. "You found the error logs?" K, M, debug, 0047 through KM debug, 3000, 891, 3000. 891 times you fix something in that system. Your fingerprints are in every line. Keisha felt something shift inside her chest. The laptop did not matter. The stolen proof did not matter. The truth had been hiding inside the code all along, in the one place Sebastian never thought to look because he never understood the code in the first place. "Your work leaves fingerprints," she said softly, "even when they try to wipe them clean. Especially then." Benjamin's expression shifted. "I also found something else. A clause in your divorce settlement, Section 7, subsection C. Rather elegant legal work for someone who supposedly got nothing. Did someone trigger it? 3 days ago. Series C funding. $65 million. The paperwork clears tomorrow morning." The city lights blurred for a moment. Keisha blinked hard, and they came back into focus. 4 years. 4 years of waiting, and the bomb had finally gone off. Sebastian arrived beside them with his hand extended and his smile blazing, the smile of a man who had spent a decade perfecting the art of walking into rooms and owning them. "Mr. Crow," he said warmly. "What a surprise. I did not know you would be here tonight. What an honor." Benjamin looked at the extended hand. He did not take it. "I came to meet your ex-wife. I have a habit of identifying the actual talent in any organization." The smile on Sebastian's face did not fall. It froze. Like a photograph of a smile, all the right shapes, with none of the warmth. "I am sorry. Do not be. This is a common problem. People mistake presentation for substance." Sebastian recovered quickly. He was good at that. He turned to Keisha, his voice shifting to something softer, more intimate, as though Benjamin was not standing right there. "Kesha, I did not even know you were coming tonight. How have you been?" "Busy." "Good. Great. The company is really taking off. We are in the middle of some exciting," Sebastian glanced sideways at Benjamin, calculating, "some exciting developments." "So I hear." Keisha's voice was perfectly neutral, like still water. "We should catch up?" Sebastian pressed. "Maybe coffee sometime. I would love to tell you about where we have taken your—" He caught himself. "Where we have taken the platform. My platform, Keisha corrected gently. Let us be accurate, Sebastian. Since we are among friends. The jazz quartet played on, but the nearby conversations had gone quiet. People were turning. The social radar of wealthy, powerful people is finely tuned. They can sense a shift in the room the way animals sense a change in weather. Sebastian leaned closer, lowering his voice. Look, whatever Benjamin has told you, whatever he thinks he has found, we can handle this quietly. What if I bring you on as a consultant? Good salary, benefits. We can make this right. For one moment, one brief, treacherous moment, Keisha felt the pull. A steady paycheck, no more diner shifts, no more freelance scraping. She could take the money and disappear. It would be so easy. She almost said yes. Then Sebastian added, almost as an afterthought, we just need to keep this quiet. No press, no drama. Just between us. And there it was, the same pattern. Take what is mine, erase my name, keep it quiet. No, Sebastian, Keisha said, not this time. His face changed. The mask dropped just for a second, and underneath was something cold and calculating. He pulled out his phone and made a call right in front of her. David, it is Sebastian. I need you to file an emergency injunction tonight. Yes, tonight. Freeze the Series C paperwork before it finalizes. And get me everything we have on that divorce clause. I want it voided by morning. He looked at Keisha, and for the first time, she saw him clearly. Not the charming man from the warehouse. Not the husband who said it is just optics, baby. The real Sebastian. The one who had always been there underneath. You think you are the only one who planned ahead? I have had lawyers on retainer for 3 years waiting for exactly this. That clause will not survive a single hearing. He walked away, already barking instructions into his phone. Keisha stood on the rooftop and watched 4 years of patience crumble in 90 seconds. The city lights blurred again, and this time she did not blink them back into focus. She let them blur. Benjamin stood beside her, his expression unreadable. Her phone buzzed. A text from Marla. How was the party, baby? You wearing the dress? Send pics. Keisha laughed. The sound surprised her. She typed back, it is complicated. Marla replied instantly, it always is. You eat yet? Do not make big decisions hungry. Keisha put her phone away, went to the bathroom, locked herself in a stall, and pressed her hands against her knees. She breathed. In, out, in, out. 4 years. 4 years of waiting, and he just made one phone call, and it is over. She washed her face, looked at herself in the mirror, the same face that had stared back at her in the parking garage. The same face from the police station in the rain. The same face, but older now, harder. The face of a woman who had been knocked down so many times she had forgotten what it felt like to stand straight, and then remembered anyway. Okay, she said to her reflection. Think. You have been outgunned before. Think. She walked out of the bathroom and found Benjamin at the bar, completely calm, drinking sparkling water, as though nothing had happened. He is trying to void the clause, Keisha said. I know. I heard. You do not seem worried. Benjamin set down his glass. Miss Morgan. I did not invest $65 million without anticipating that Sebastian Cole would try to cheat. I have had that clause reviewed by 3 separate law firms over the past 4 months. It is ironclad. His emergency injunction will be denied because the capital event already closed. The equity transferred automatically the moment the wire cleared 3 days ago. He is fighting a war that ended before it started. He just does not know it yet. Then why do you look like there is a problem? Benjamin paused. Because voiding the clause is not his only play. If he cannot erase your equity, he will try to erase your credibility. And he has 4 years of press on his side. It happened during the birthday toast. Sebastian stood at the microphone. The crowd gathered around him with champagne glasses raised, and he went off script. The toast was being live streamed. 50,000 viewers, watching in real time. "Before we celebrate," he said, his voice warm and measured, the voice of a man who had practiced sincerity until he could produce it on demand, "I want to address something. My ex-wife Keisha is here tonight, and I want to say publicly, she was a valued team member in the early days of coal logistics. But the suggestion that she single-handedly built our technology is, frankly, revisionist history from someone who has struggled since our divorce and may be looking for financial relief." He paused, let his words land, then added, with a compassion so perfectly calibrated, it made Keisha's skin crawl, "I wish her nothing but the best. I truly do." The crowd murmured. Not against Sebastian. For him. 200 people and 50,000 viewers looked at Keisha Morgan with pity. Poor woman, the bitter ex-wife making desperate claims. How sad, how embarrassing. Lydia appeared at Keisha's side, her voice dripping with rehearsed sweetness. "Honey, I know breakups are hard, but coming here and making a scene? It is not a good look. Sebastian has moved on. Maybe you should too." Keisha stood perfectly still. She did not respond. She did not cry. She did not shout. She stood in the center of that pity, like a woman standing in the center of a fire, and she let it burn. When someone publicly reframes your truth as bitterness, your instinct is to fight back immediately, to shout, to argue, to defend yourself right there in front of everyone. Do not. Emotion is what they want. It confirms their narrative. The crazy ex-wife, the bitter woman who cannot let go. The most powerful response to a public lie is not a louder voice. It is documented, undeniable proof, delivered at the moment of maximum impact. Keisha went to the elevator. She pressed the button. She was leaving. Done. 4 years of patience and planning destroyed by a 90-second toast. Benjamin caught her before the doors opened. "Where are you going?" "Home." He wins. He always wins. He wins if you leave. Is that what you want? What I want does not matter. He just told 50,000 people I am a liar. Then let us show 50,000 people the truth. How? Your evidence, the error logs, the emails, all of it is proprietary data. The second you show it publicly, his lawyers will claim industrial espionage. They will say we stole company secrets. Benjamin looked at her for a long moment. The NDA in your divorce settlement. It covers proprietary company data. Yes, but it does not cover independently discovered information by a third-party investor during standard due diligence. My legal team found those error logs through our own analysis. Sebastian's lawyers will try to block it, and they might delay things in court for weeks. By then, the narrative is set. You are the bitter ex-wife, forever. Keisha closed her eyes. So it is over. No, it is not over. But the legal system is too slow. We need a different court. What court? Public opinion. Within hours, the damage was done. Sebastian's lawyers moved fast. They released a statement claiming Keisha had violated her NDA by collaborating with Benjamin to disclose trade secrets. They filed a cease and desist. They threatened criminal charges. The headlines came like a flood. Coal Logistics. Ex-wife. Faces criminal charges. After-party meltdown. Bitter ex makes scene at CEO birthday, now facing lawsuit. Sebastian Cole responds to ex-wife's delusional claims with grace and legal action. Keisha sat in her apartment above the laundromat, watching her phone fill with notifications. Not support. Judgment. Comments from strangers who had watched the live stream and decided she was the villain of someone else's story. She called Marla. It was 2 in the morning. "Baby, what happened?" Marla's voice was sharp with worry. "He destroyed me, Marla. On camera. In front of everyone. And now the whole internet thinks I am crazy. Are you crazy?" "No." "Then they are wrong. And when has the internet ever been right about anything?" These are the same people who thought that dress was gold. "It was blue, Keisha. It was always blue." Keisha almost smiled. Almost. "What are you going to do?" Marla asked. "I do not know." "Yes, you do. You have known since the day you walked out of that courthouse, with that little paragraph hidden in your divorce papers. You're the smartest person I have ever met, and I have met a lot of people. So stop feeling sorry for yourself and do the thing." "What thing?" "The thing you have been building toward for 4 years. The thing that scares you more than anything. Stop letting other people tell your story. Tell it yourself." Keisha hung up. She sat in the dark for a long time. The washing machines downstairs had stopped. The building was quiet. The city outside was quiet. The whole world felt like it was holding its breath, waiting to see what she would do next. She opened her laptop. Not the stolen one, a new one. The one she had bought with diner tips, piece by piece, over 2 years. She turned on the camera. No makeup, no production, no script. Just her, sitting in her small apartment with water stains on the ceiling, speaking directly into the lens. "My name is Keisha Morgan. 4 years ago, I built a system called the Adaptive Flow Engine. It is now worth hundreds of millions of dollars. My ex-husband put his name on it. Tonight, when I tried to tell the truth, I was threatened with criminal charges for violating a non-disclosure agreement. So instead of fighting in a courtroom I cannot afford, I am going to show you something." She opened a coding environment, and she began to code. Live. In real time. She did not recreate the proprietary system. She did not violate any NDA. What she did was build a small demonstration, a simplified version of the algorithm's core logic, from scratch, from memory, without notes. She explained the architecture as she built it. The prediction models, the chaos theory integration, the elegant mathematics that turned disorder into choreography. She explained it the way she explained things to her students at the community center, clearly, patiently, with the quiet authority of someone who understood every molecule of what she had created. It took 47 minutes. When she was done, she looked at the camera. "You cannot fake this. You either built it or you did not. And I built it." She posted it at midnight. By 6 in the morning, it had 2 million views. By noon, 10 million. By evening, every major technology publication in the country had picked it up. Software engineers around the world were analyzing the code, confirming its relationship to the Adaptive Flow Engine's public-facing architecture, marveling at the elegance of the underlying logic. The hashtag "She Built It" was trending globally. Sometimes the most powerful evidence is not a document or a contract. It is demonstration. When they question what you know, do not argue. Show them. Let your competence speak so loudly that it drowns out every lie they have ever told about you. Sebastian's world did not collapse all at once. It collapsed the way buildings collapse in controlled demolitions, one support beam at a time, each one triggering the next, until the structure that looked so solid from the outside revealed itself to be hollow. First, the board turned, not because they cared about justice. Board members rarely care about justice. They cared about stock value. And the "She Built It" story was a public relations catastrophe of a magnitude that no crisis management firm could contain. The board chair called Sebastian at 7 in the morning, 2 days after Keisha's video went live. "Sebastian, The institutional investors are panicking. 3 major clients have paused their contracts pending resolution. We need to get ahead of this immediately. It will blow over, Sebastian said. These things always blow over. It is not blowing over. CNN wants a comment by noon. The Wall Street Journal is running a feature piece tomorrow. And Benjamin Crow just released a public statement saying he will pull his $65 million investment unless you acknowledge Keisha Morgan's contributions and honor the equity clause in full. He cannot do that. He already did. The statement went live 20 minutes ago. Our stock price dropped 9% before the markets opened. Then Lydia left. Not because of Keisha, not because of the public humiliation. Because on the second night after the video went live, unable to sleep, Lydia had done something she had never done before. She sat down at Sebastian's home computer and she read the original patent filings. All of them, every line. And in the development notes attached to the earliest versions, before someone had gone through and scrubbed them, she found Keisha Morgan's name on everything. She packed a bag while Sebastian was on the phone with his lawyers. She left a note on the kitchen counter. 2 sentences. You told me you built it. You lied about everything. Sebastian read the note, set it down, and stared at the wall for 15 minutes. He called Keisha 17 times. She did not answer. He texted, "Please, let us fix this. I will give you everything you want. Just make it stop." Keisha read the text. She typed back 1 word, number. Then she deleted it, typed something else. Meet me at the warehouse, tomorrow. 8 in the morning, where it all started. The old incubator space had been converted into a coffee shop. Exposed brick, Edison bulb, light fixtures, reclaimed wood tables, where 17 startups had once fought for the future. Unit 14, where Keisha had first shown Sebastian the adaptive flow engine, was now a seating area with comfortable chairs and a chalkboard menu. Sebastian arrived first. He looked terrible, unshaved, eyes red, his clothes wrinkled in a way that suggested he had not changed them in 2 days. He sat at a table near the window and ordered a black coffee and did not drink it. Keisha arrived at exactly 8 o'clock. She was wearing jeans and a sweater. No black dress, no armor, just herself. She sat down across from him. Neither of them spoke for a long time. The coffee shop was nearly empty. A barista wiped down the espresso machine. Morning light came through the windows and landed on the table, between them, like a third presence. Sebastian spoke first. His voice was smaller than she had ever heard it. I knew what I was doing. Every time I said I instead of we, every patent I filed alone, every interview where I took credit for your work. I told myself it was business. I told myself it was strategy. I told myself the company needed a clear narrative, and that narrative needed one face, and that face had to be mine. He stopped, swallowed, continued. But the truth is, I was afraid. Was afraid of what? That if anyone knew it was you, if they knew the engine came from your mind and not mine, they would realize I was just the guy who talked. That without you, I was nothing but a salesman with a good smile and a rich family. That everything I had was borrowed. The talent, the vision, the genius, all of it was yours, and I could not stand it. It was the most honest thing he had ever said to her. Keisha felt it land. She did not forgive him. Forgiveness was not what this moment required. But she understood him, and understanding was harder than forgiveness, because understanding meant seeing the whole person, the fear and the ambition and the weakness and the cruelty, and accepting that all of it existed in the same man who had once brought her gas station coffee at 11:30 on a Tuesday night. You were not nothing, Sebastian. You were a good salesman, a great presenter. You could have been an incredible partner, but you chose to be a thief instead. I know. And now it is over? She slid a document across the table. The restructuring agreement. Her terms, written clearly, without buried clauses or legal tricks. Because she was not him. Full public acknowledgement of her role as creator of the adaptive flow engine. Her name on every patent, retroactively. The 18% equity honored in full. A seat on the board of directors. Sebastian retains his CEO title. This is generous, she said, more generous than you deserve. But I am not doing this for revenge. I am doing it because that system is my life's work, and I want to make sure it is built right going forward. Sebastian read the document. He read it twice. He picked up the pen, and he signed it. The press conference was held 3 days later. National media, every major outlet. The room was full, standing room only, cameras and microphones and the electric hum of a story that had captured the country's attention. Sebastian spoke first, reading from a prepared statement, his hands shaking visibly. The core technology behind coal logistics, the adaptive flow engine, was designed, developed, and built by Keisha Morgan. I failed to credit her properly. I filed patents under my name that should have carried hers. This was wrong, and I am here today to correct the record. The room erupted with questions. He answered them, poorly, honestly, but he answered them. Then Keisha took the podium. She was wearing the black dress, the thrift store dress, $22, the one she had kept in the back of her closet for 3 years, waiting for somewhere to wear it. She did not talk about Sebastian. She did not talk about revenge. She talked about the work. 4 years ago, I built something I was proud of. Then I lost it. Not the code. You cannot lose code. It lives in the system. It lives in the error logs. It lives in 3,891 debug notes with my initials on them. She paused. The room was completely silent. What I lost was my name, the credit, the recognition, the thing that tells the world, this came from me. And for 4 years, I watched someone else wear my name, like it was his. She looked directly into the camera, into living rooms across America, into offices, into community centers, into apartments above laundromats, to every woman who has ever had her work stolen, her contribution erased, her name removed from something she built with her own hands. This is for you. Document everything. Back up everything. And never, ever let anyone tell you that your genius belongs to someone else. In the back of the room, Marla Jenkins was crying, not quiet, dignified tears, full, open, unashamed crying. The kind that makes your mascara run and your nose red and your heart feel like it might actually burst. Beside her, Destiny Williams held up her phone, recording everything, tears streaming down her own face, one hand on her pregnant belly. The hashtag She Built It hit #1 globally for the 3rd time. 6 months later, the company was renamed Morgan Coal Technologies, not Coal Logistics. Morgan Coal, her name first, where it belonged. Keisha's office was on the top floor, large windows, a view of the city that stretched all the way to the old warehouse district where it had all begun. Chief Technology Officer, the title she should have had from the start. The company's value had tripled since her public return. Not because of sympathy, not because of the viral moment, because investors finally understood what they were actually investing in, the real talent, the real builder, the person whose fingerprints were in every line of code that made the system work. Marla ran the company cafeteria, by choice. She had turned down 3 other positions. I am not learning any computer nonsense, she told Keisha flatly, but I can make sure these engineers eat right. Half of them look like they survive on energy drinks and sadness. That is not nutrition. That is a cry for help. Destiny was in her 2nd semester of computer science at Wayne State University, on a full scholarship funded by Keisha's new foundation. She brought her baby to campus in a carrier and coded one-handed during lectures. Her professors had stopped being surprised by her grades. Sebastian was still CEO, diminished, humbled. They were not friends. They would never be friends. But in meetings, when Keisha presented, Sebastian sat quietly and took notes. It was the least he could do, and he knew it. Benjamin Crow sent Keisha flowers every Tuesday. No note, no card, just flowers, different arrangements each week. Sunflowers, peonies, orchids. Once a single red rose that made Marla lose her entire mind. A single rose, baby. That is not a flower delivery. That is a declaration. It is just a rose, Marla. Girl, nobody sends a single rose to someone they just respect professionally. That man is in love. If you do not call him, I am going to call him for you. After 3 months of flowers, Keisha finally texted him. You know, you can just ask me to dinner. His reply came in 4 minutes. I was waiting for you to be ready. I am ready. I know. I have been watching you give press conferences and terrify board members for 3 months. It is extremely attractive, she laughed. For real. The kind of laugh that comes from a place that is healed, not fully healed. Because some wounds leave scars that ache when the weather changes, but healed enough to laugh without looking over your shoulder. Healed enough to let someone in without fearing they would take what they found. Their first date was at Marla's diner, because of course it was. Marla took one look at Benjamin as he walked through the door. She looked at his suit. She looked at his shoes. She looked at the way he pulled out Keisha's chair before sitting down. Then she turned to Keisha and whispered, loud enough for the entire restaurant to hear, "This one has got a job, teeth, and $65 million. Baby, if you do not marry this man, I will." Benjamin, to his eternal credit, laughed so hard he nearly knocked over his water glass. "I like her," he said to Keisha. "Everyone likes Marla," Keisha said. "It is not optional." Later that night, Keisha drove home alone. The streets were quiet. Detroit at midnight, all shadow and streetlight, and the distant hum of a city that never fully sleeps. She passed the old warehouse. The coffee shop was closed, chairs stacked on tables, a single light glowing in the kitchen. She passed the parking garage, where she had stood alone after the first pitch, watching Sebastian drive away, wondering if she was overreacting. She passed the laundromat on Jefferson Avenue. Her old apartment window was dark. Someone else lived there now. She did not stop. She kept driving. Her phone buzzed. A notification from the Morgan Cole Technologies dashboard. The adaptive flow engine had just processed its 1 billionth transaction. 1 billion. A number so large, it stopped meaning anything except this. It worked. The system she had built in a storage unit in a warehouse that smelled like burnt coffee and desperation. The system that a man had stolen and a woman had reclaimed. It worked. 1 billion times and counting. Keisha pulled over, not because she needed to, because she wanted to sit with the moment. She wanted to feel it, all of it, the weight and the lightness, the grief and the triumph, the 4 years of silence and the single night when the silence finally broke. She looked at the dashboard notification. She looked at the city through her windshield. She thought about destiny, asleep in her dorm room with her baby in a crib beside her. She thought about Marla, probably still at the diner, wrapping up leftover pie and labeling it with someone's name so nobody else would eat it. She thought about Benjamin, driving home with that quiet smile. She thought about Sebastian, briefly, without anger, almost without anything at all. And she thought about the woman who had sat on the floor of a studio apartment 3 years ago, staring at a water stain on the ceiling, wondering if she should give up. That woman had not given up. That woman had gotten up. Keisha smiled, not because of the money, not because of Benjamin, not because of revenge, because her name was on it now, and nobody could ever take that away. If this story moved you, do me a favor. Drop a comment and tell me which moment hit you the hardest. Was it the parking garage? The stolen laptop? The video at midnight? I read every single comment, and your words keep these stories coming. Hit that like button if you believe credit belongs to the people who do the work. Share this with someone who needs to hear it today. And if you are not subscribed yet, come on, join the family. We drop stories like this every week. Stories about truth, justice, and the moments when the underdog finally rises. Hit subscribe and tap that bell so you never miss what comes next. Because next week's story, it is even crazier. Trust me. Closing disclaimer. This content was carefully researched, developed, and manually edited by our team to deliver meaningful stories with real-life lessons. Every narrative is crafted with purpose. Designed not just to entertain, but to inspire, empower, and remind you that your value cannot be erased. Thank you for watching, and thank you for being part of this community.